I told my sister she is not my family anymore. My sister Sarah and I were always close growing up, or at least I thought we were, until my wife Maya got pregnant. We had been trying for 3 years and went through 2 miscarriages before finally reaching the 6-month mark with our son. My parents were ecstatic, but Sarah started acting weird the second we announced the gender. She has 2 daughters and had always been the golden child of the family because she provided the first grandchildren. Suddenly she was making these small comments about how hard it is to raise a boy and how Maya probably wouldn't handle the transition well. I ignored it because Sarah has always been a bit competitive, but then the baby shower happened. Maya spent months planning everything and she was so proud of the nursery we had built together, and Sarah offered to host the shower at her big house in the suburbs, and we agreed thinking it was a nice gesture. 2 days before the event, Sarah called me crying and saying her basement flooded and she had to cancel the whole thing. Maya was devastated, but I spent 12 hours straight cleaning out our garage and setting up decorations so the shower could still happen at our place. Sarah showed up late and didn't bring a gift, saying she was too stressed from her basement repairs to shop. The real trouble started after our son Leo was born. Sarah refused to visit him for the first month, claiming her daughters were always sick and she didn't want to risk it. When she finally did come over, she wouldn't even hold him. She just sat on the edge of the sofa and talked about how much easier her pregnancies were and how Leo looked nothing like me. She kept hinting that Maya might have had an office romance while I was away on business trips. I told her to leave my house and didn't speak to her for 3 weeks. My parents kept trying to play peacemaker, saying Sarah was just going through a rough patch with her husband. Last weekend was my parents' 40th anniversary dinner at a nice steakhouse downtown. Everyone was there and things were actually going okay until the wine started flowing. Sarah started talking about the family inheritance and how the estate should be divided. She looked at me and said it was a shame that the family name would probably end with me since Leo clearly doesn't share our DNA. The table went dead silent. My dad dropped his fork and Maya looked like she was about to burst into tears. And I asked Sarah what she was talking about and she pulled her phone out of her purse with a smug grin. She said she had done one of those ancestry DNA tests and uploaded the results to a public database. She claimed she found a match for a distant cousin she didn't recognize, and after some digging, she realized this person was related to Maya's former college boyfriend. She literally announced to the entire restaurant that my son was the product of an affair. She had printed out charts and everything like she was presenting a business report. Maya stood up and walked out of the restaurant sobbing while my mother started screaming at Sarah for being so cruel. I just sat there staring at the paper she threw on the table. I took a deep breath and looked at the name on the DNA profile she was so proud of. And I started laughing, and the look of confusion on Sarah's face was the best thing I've ever seen. I told her to look at the name again and then look at the name of our dad's younger brother who moved to England 30 years ago. The cousin she found was our own cousin's daughter from the side of the family we haven't seen in decades. She was so desperate to prove my wife was a cheater that she didn't even bother to check our own family tree before trying to blow up my life. I stood up and told her that she was no longer invited to my home or my life. My dad told her to leave the dinner and said he was updating his will the next morning to ensure she didn't get a single cent of the house she was so worried about. Sarah started wailing that it was a mistake and she was just looking out for me, but I didn't listen. I walked out to the parking lot and found Maya sitting in the car shaking. I showed her the papers and explained how Sarah's own stupidity had saved us from ever having to deal with her again. We drove home in silence and I blocked Sarah's number before we even hit the driveway.